Derby County are set to approach former Ran Matthew Clarke to join Derby County again for the third time. Currently contracted to Middlesbrough, but his contract expires at the end of this season. And with Derby County's injury problems at the back, it looks like a deal which could see Derby County sign an experienced Championship centre-half to take them forward and hopefully help them survive in the Championship. Matt Clarke was a part of one of Derby's survival stories, and will he be able to come back and have that same impact? Now, for me, I have no problem with Matt Clarke. I think with some of the signings we've made across the course of the last year or so, we've gone a lot for players who ultimately don't really know the level. You look at Selverson, Zetterstrom, you look at Kenzo Heldmine, all players who don't really know the level. You can even go as far as say Ibu Adams as well. And a lot of our team don't really know the Championship level, or have never really performed to a high level at this division. And something that we can definitely say with Matt Clarke is that he can perform at a high level in this division. Now, I speak about injuries to our backline because obviously with Curtis Nelson out, Erin Cashin still not necessarily 100% to play every week at the moment, as we saw with missing the game in midweek. I do believe he's going to play versus Cardiff later on today. You've also then got to think about Nat Phillips, who's supposed to be out for another 1 to 2 weeks, but ultimately we need that extra centre half to be able to cover for Derby County if worse comes to worst, essentially, because obviously Nelson's out for the rest of the season and we don't know what's going to happen with Erin Cashin. Now, for me, the talk of this deal came about because of Football League World. Now, I'm not a massive fan of Football League World. I won't turn around and say that their links are credible, but I've had a few messages since that article was released mentioning Matt Clarke and the potential deal that's coming up. I believe it's being discussed on the forum as well, which for me, I think this could be a good deal for Derby County. I think you've got to look at Matt Clarke's injury history though. I think it was 2022-23 where he missed practically the entire season and into the 23-24 season due to reoccurring back problems. I believe he only made 7 appearances across the course of a 12-ish month spell, and obviously that's disappointing for Matt Clarke because it was a big period in his career. I think he would have been about 26, 27, not long after joining Middlesbrough. And obviously with those issues, we have to be aware of those and we have to be comfortable and aware of how to manage them. Now, when we look at Matt Clarke across the course of his career, mainly being a centre-half, 328 games in that position, 13 goals and 7 assists, made 158 Championship appearances, 5 goals and 3 assists, 12,850 minutes. And then he's obviously played for a range of different Championship sides, including obviously Derby County, made 81 appearances for us, played 51 times for Middlesbrough and 33 times for West Brom. Now, obviously, a lot of you will remember him for his time at Portsmouth, 175 appearances there before moving to Brighton, but that Brighton move never really prospered into anything that it really probably should have been, and ultimately that was for a range of different reasons. Now, obviously his 2 spells at Derby County were, like, in my opinion, they were very, very good spells. I believe it was 2020 to 2021, and 21-22, could be wrong about 21-22, it might have been 19-20. Yeah, so it was 19-20 and 20 to 21. He made 37 appearances in 2019-2020, and then made I think it's around 40 appearances the season after, 44 appearances the season after. Now, ultimately, Matt Clarke is a left-footed centre-half, really good cover for Erin Cashin, can even play with Erin Cashin, really. Now, the big thing for me about why this deal is possible is because he's only played 14 times for Middlesbrough so far this season in the league, scoring twice, obviously, so we cannot dispel that. But he does have a club option for an extra year. Now, for me, I can see this being a loan with an option to buy in the summer should Derby County stay in the division, because I can't see Middlesbrough wanting much, given that it's only an optional year. And realistically, if we look at Middlesbrough's defenders, he's not exactly first choice. So it's one of those for me where Derby County can get some Championship experience, and a player who we know is comfortable at the level will certainly improve the options we have right now. It means we won't have to play Fozzie at centre-half. It means we won't have to play half-cooked Rooney, let's say, and Nat Phillips won't have to rush back. So now, when is this deal going to happen? I'm not entirely sure. I think realistically, it won't happen before today's game. If it does, I'll be baffled. You'll probably be seeing this around 10 o'clock. There is a video that I'd recorded for today that ultimately now won't be coming out till tomorrow morning because of the match review later on, which is talking about Paul Warne's plans for centre-halves and things like that. Now, Matt Clarke wasn't one that was on the radar. I will admit, I didn't think he'd be available from Middlesbrough, given the player that I know him as when he was at Derby. Now, ultimately, I do think that future-wise, he's not necessarily a long-term prospect, but he's certainly someone who could make a difference for Derby County in the next 6 months and maybe in the next 18 months as well. So it's one of those for me where if we can get it on an option where he potentially signs for the next 6 months on loan and then potentially an option to sign him permanently for on a 2-year contract, maybe taking him up until 31, gives you a similar age to Curtis Nelson, and then you can obviously then make a decision then based on how his injury history has been and the club's injury history and things like that, and what potential options you have available, because obviously we know Derby County have been searching at that European market. We've heard it all before with Selverson coming in, obviously Kenzo, Zetterstrom, all coming in from that market. You've also got to look at the links that we've had recently to Oscar Furlow, who's obviously currently at FC Utrecht, but that deal is rumoured to be getting closer and closer for Derby County, potentially one that could be announced over the course of the next week, although I'm not going to guarantee anything. Don't want people to think I have any sort of insider information, because that's something I certainly do not have. Now, I do believe that Matt Clarke could impact us this season. I do believe that he could have an impact over the course of the next few years as we sort of rebuild and grow. I don't necessarily believe he's a Paul Warne style centre-half. Obviously, doesn't score many goals throughout his career, especially not at Derby. I think he only scored 2 throughout his career at Derby County, if I remember rightly. No, it was just 1. But then, since then, he's only scored 4 times for Middlesbrough and for West Brom. Obviously, if we go back to his days at Pompey, 175 games and 9 goals. So, there is possibilities that he can score from set pieces and things, and if we can get a really good set piece routine perfect for him, then I think we've got a wonderful opportunity. Now, Matt Clarke won't really know much. Well, he might know about Erin Cashing, because I believe he was in and around that first team towards the back end of that 2020-21 season on occasion, because we know what Derby County were like at that point. A lot of the youngsters got those opportunities to step up, but ultimately it's a very different Erin Cashing to the one that he would have seen when he was that age. Now, obviously, as some of you will remember, when Erin Cashing made his debut, he picked up a yellow card within about 4 or 5 minutes of getting onto the pitch, and that was a tackle against Matt Clarke against West Bromwich Albion. If I can find the clip, I'll put it on screen, because it was a wonderful bit of history for Derby County. Erin Cashing, one of our future stars, essentially, wiping out a former player over the course of a game versus West Brom, in which I believe we went on to win 2-0 with Colin Kazim-Richards scoring in that game. It might have been 2-1, but I can't remember. I'll try and find the clip though so that I can put it on screen, because it's obviously massive to remember. Now, obviously, adds depth to centre-half. If we can make it a permanent deal, that would be brilliant, but I believe it will be a loan until the summer with obligation if we stay in the division. That would be my thought process on this one. Now, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, turn on that notification bell, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, hit the like button as well, and I'll catch you in my next video.